Hello, Spooniverse! I've had a lot of emails of folks wanting to know some freight train riding stories. So I'm going to remind you one more time, do not ride freight trains. And I did make a video kind of explaining some of the reasons why, and there are many more reasons, and the link is in the description below. But that being said, I'll go ahead and talk to you a little bit about what freight train riding was like, or at least parts of it, so that maybe I can scratch that itch a little bit. So, while I was riding trains and hitchhiking and backpacking around, I would often find myself in some pretty dangerous situations. And being a woman, I definitely had to take note of a handful of things that were pretty important for my safety. I didn't look at street signs for very long because I didn't want folks to know that I didn't know where I was. And I would wear baggy clothes so that at a distance folks wouldn't know if I was a man or a woman. And I always made sure to watch up and down the tracks, make sure there wasn't anybody else traveling on the same train I was, because you sight out or stop in the middle of nowhere, somebody can come back to the car that you are on, and that makes for a very dangerous situation. But there is one thing that many female travelers who ride around by train don't really mention. For a man, it's pretty easy if you have to urinate off of a moving train. You just kind of walk up to the edge and you let it go. It's not a big deal, and as long as it's not hitting those wheels coming back at you, you're good. But for a woman who never has enough foresight to bring a cup, to pour it over the edge, no. For you, you've got to grab onto something, weasel your bum off the edge of the train, put down your stuff so that all your junk's hanging out, and usually it's fine because you're in the middle of nowhere, except for your case. There's going to be that one farmer in the middle of nowhere waiting for that train to pass by as he's sitting on that country road at the edge of the field. And what's going to go by him as he's counting the cars? 1, 2, 3. It's full moon tonight, folks. But this being said, I'm going to tell you and remind you one more time, do not ride freight trains. So that you could be free at home, right at your desk, working at the things that you love, or at work, or with your family. You do not need to be riding freight trains to be free. There are many people who travel around in that way who are bound by chains of emotional chains of addiction, chains of family problems, mental illness. Freedom is a state of mind. It's not where you are, it's a state of mind. If you can be yourself, that is where the door opens to freedom. Learning to be true to yourself. That way you're not chained by everybody's idea of what you should or shouldn't be. That's the first step. Not grabbing your bag and running off. Being real. Being true. It's hard. It's hard for a lot of us. But I know you can do it. And I still struggle with these things. I do not have everything figured out. I've had folks raise their hands at some of our storytelling events and say, "Hey, how have you figured it out?" Literally asking me that question. And I have no idea what's going on. But I know that what bothers me yesterday is not going to be bothering me as much 1 year from now, 2 years from now. The things that are at the top of my list to accomplish are going to be different. Time is going to move on no matter what I do. So there's nothing I can do except for be the best person I possibly can. And that's what freedom is. Being yourself, being real. Not running around the country, hopping on freight trains, not hitchhiking. You could be free right where you're at.